Hello and welcome to So Farscape,
A fun-filled Farscape fancast by a fervent fan.
and a frankly fascinated first-timer.
I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay,
and this is the story So Farscape. Oh, I missed an opportunity to do a funeral-filled Farscape, because it is with the funeral again.
It is, I guess, yes. Join us for episode 322, Dog with Two Bones, part 1.
Oh, where did you see that?
On the airtable.
Yes, okay. No, that's true. Like, when it was originally aired, it was listed as just Dog with Two Bones.
Right.
And then later, during the DVDs, was described as Dog with Two Bones, part 1.
To your credit, you did not, I only got the part 1 after I looked at our date sheet, and I did not get any of that information until after. I mean, it's the end of the season. It's like, they're not going to do a non-cliffhanger episode, so.
I've been thinking whether to save this for the season wrap-up, but I think it's valid here. You had asked me previously whether they already knew that they were getting picked up for a 4th season.
Right, yes.
Which, on the one hand, during various chats with fans, Ricky Manning, Frunium, was particularly evasive about. Like, they kept asking, like, are we going to see more of that next season? Oh, what season? What season of what show? Oh.
Yeah.
Because he's an absolute imp. But before this episode already aired, announcements had already been made that Farscape had been renewed for a 4th and 5th season.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go then. Yeah.
So that's what the sort of expectation was. And apparently, like, there are deleted scenes on the DVD from this episode that might as well have been clips from the next episode. Like, there was already a very clear idea of how season 4 was going to start.
How they're going to take it, yes.
I mean, David Kemper, even in an interview in the Visual Companion Guide, mentioned, like, the farther you get in the series, the more vision you need to have of where it's going. So we've been renewed for a 4th and 5th season. He already knew at that point how season 4 was going to end and season 5 would begin. And he was still seeing it at the time as like a 6-season story, but we'll see about...
6 seasons in a movie.
Well, if only. So, yeah, there was the full confidence that this was closing a season and heading into the next one, and we just have to wait.
So it was just being a bit of a tease for the...
little bit.
For the fans, yes. Right, so our listeners have gifted us with a whole bunch of synopsises for this episode.
Oh, yeah, they're good.
So, let's have a look. Someone gets distracted by their fantasies. An old woman appears aboard the ship and everyone questions who she is. She sneezes magical fairy dust and is seemingly great at cooking.
Seemingly.
In the meantime, there is a game of bumper ships occurring. Thank you, Going Metal $7.99.
The crew make plans to go their separate ways, but before they can, they must attend a funeral where an unwanted guest is making a scene. Meanwhile, John's imagination runs wild. Hey, is the old woman with you? Thank you, Marky See.
A wedding and a funeral, but which one is real? Crichton struggles to reconcile 2 dreams, and a mysterious old woman offers better living through chemistry. Thank you, Nazzy.
Well, episode 301 was called Season of Death, and you can count on one hand how many main characters didn't die or start off dead this season. Wedding bells ringing, or are they? Who is that old woman? And another perfect suggestion from Claudia Black, when things get left to fate. Very good. Thanks, Lucy.
A wedding, a funeral, a coin flip, a farewell, a wormhole, and who the frell is this old woman? Thank you, Mezzanine.
There's a certain trend, isn't there?
Yes.
Oh, I like this one. Sunday, 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 come to the Leviathan burial grounds. 2 Leviathan enter, only 1 will leave. It's the grudge match of the quadrant. Will the mystery-masked Leviathan reign supreme, or will Mama Moya bring the hurt to him for dissing her son Talon? Only one way to find out this Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Thank you, Black Rain.
And who is that woman with the dream powder? Lies are nice, but the truth is louder. A burial place, the sacred space. Listen, Wrinkles, stick to the chowder. Thank you, Rick from the Delta Quadrant, with another lovely
Back
poet.
with those limericks. Yes. Oh, we have a lot to look forward to. I've already seen that Rick has contributed quite a bit to season 4.
Fantastic.
They must have spent quite some time on that, because they're all absolute crackers. Thank you so much. So this is season 3, episode 22, Dog with Two Bones, first aired on Thursday, January 31st, 2002. Do you remember how we used to talk about, like, when these things were coming out? Yeah.
It's become less. Seemingly, it's become less important. I don't know. It feels like that. We've been going on it for quite a while now, and
I mean, we are just sort of stuck in the so far back machine.
Yes, and occasionally it's interesting to still refer to when it comes back, because there's something in there that you're wondering, okay, is this a cultural reference to something existing, or is this the original cultural reference or anything?
Right.
Which we get in the opening scene, which is very obvious, because we've got a T-1000 John. I mean, come on. He's going full Terminator in the opening shot with the wedding gown viewing.
Yeah, bridal shop where he's wearing a regular leather jacket and some cunning shades.
Get us some sunglasses, blue blockers.
And he's got this hair is like done a little bit tighter to his head. It's a little bit shorter, it seems. So yes, I got big Terminator vibes of him in that look.
Well, until Erin comes in and sort of goes, this dress? No, this dress doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
And he says,
"Oh, it does.
Just not for the wedding."
and I love how the shop attendant quickly goes scurrying after them. It's like, "Oh no, we're not having any of that." No, ding ding without the wedding ring.
Well, I think it's mostly protecting these dresses from the shenanigans.
Yes,
and we cut back and forth to this fantasy throughout the episode.
Yes,
which I thought, wait, hold on.
Yeah, there's not a lot of starbursting going on in this episode, although, well, we do get to see what the Growler can do.
Wow.
Yes, well, talk about a hold-on maneuver.
So there are two main plots. There's an A plot and a B plot, and the B plot is the one that matters, which is a really weird structure for an episode. I had forgotten how absolutely brilliant this episode is.
Okay.
I haven't rewatched it very often. I didn't fully remember. I remembered some of the highlights. I remembered the sacred burial ground and the rogue leviathan and the sort of fantasies, but I didn't remember what an extraordinary piece of writing this is. Because like the A plot, the rogue leviathan and the attempt to bury Talon and everyone going their own way, is dispensed with halfway through the episode.
Yeah, a little bit later on, but yeah, something like that.
And John, ostensibly the lead character, is completely checked out throughout all of it. Like, he's just not paying attention.
No.
Just going through the motions.
He is lost in his own little world. And, okay, so I didn't like this episode.
Whoa.
Oh!
What the hell?
Oh, whoa, okay.
It irritated me tremendously.
All right.
Because, okay, we'll discuss this. We'll discuss this at great length at the time.
Sure.
I got the feeling that I was being fucked with as a viewer.
Oh dear.
That it is entirely unclear which thing, what is going on. I mean, it's not entirely unclear. Clearly, John is doing in his fantasy world, but he's being messed with the weird old lady.
Yeah.
And the way the rest is cut, and especially the way it ends, makes me doubt that anything that happens in this episode is actually genuinely canonically true.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So
all right.
It irritated me tremendously.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right from the start?
No, it crept up on me.
Okay.
And it got sealed in towards the end.
It's going to be a weird energy this episode, so...
Oh no, I'm perfectly capable of discussing about it, but I'm just saying, like, that's what I'm saying. I'm getting this out of the way. It's like the stuff going on with the old lady, it irritated me tremendously.
Okay, that part I'm totally down with, because like there's this scene between John and Chiana, and then the camera sort of pans to the left, and there's this old woman in the kitchen.
Right. And Chiana's being very affectionate to John. It's like she's trying to like talk him into coming with her.
I would love you to come with me. But you know, I gotta find my brother, and he's in this resistance thing, and as if I'm gonna find him hanging out with someone who looks like
peacekeeper.
She's also telling him why he can't come with her. She wants it.
Yeah.
I think everybody has that. Everybody has two bones. They have two things that they want that aren't compatible.
Yes.
And then there's this old woman cooking and talking like she's been there the whole time.
Yes, and she's clearly deliberately messing around, because she occasionally says something, gets called out on it, and immediately makes it like she didn't say that at all. She's gaslighting people.
Would you like some Jägerfungal chowder?
Why didn't you leave with the others?
Because I knew the souffle would charm you.
Chowder. You said it was chowder.
I can make you a chowder?
Which makes me think that she is not acting in anybody's best interest.
Uh-huh.
I mean, she clearly presents herself as like, oh, I'm here to help you, and like, I'm helping you see the truth, and I'm helping you work through your feelings. but I am not convinced that she's acting in everybody's best interest.
What, a Farscape character whose motivations don't match their behavior?
Right.
That seems so unlikely.
She's literally gaslighting people.
An enigmatic, and mysterious and untrustworthy character on Farscape?
Right, yeah, I know.
This actress we've seen before. She's Melissa Jaffer, an Australian actress. She also played the Luxon Mystic.
You're an Arcan.
Does that justify you collapsing in fear?
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah, in season 2, so she came back for this. And Dave Elsey, as usual, just had a wonderful time designing this alien creature. And as he said, like, over season 3, I got to do a lot of, like, very non-human things. So toward the end of the season, I actually became more, like, obsessed with contorting human features, like creating creatures that were basically humans through a fun mirror. Like, she's got huge ears, and her jowls are sort of slightly very jovial. Right. The third eye on the forehead is always tricky to do.
Yes, about her suddenly appearing on the ship. It's something that we've kind of noticed in the past as well, that they don't seem to police who gets to come aboard Moya or stay aboard Moya.
Right, yeah.
I mean, there might be some shenanigans involved in this particular person, but in the past we've had, like, same with Jewel and other people who have kind of like the Scarran was almost assumed to be staying on Moya as well until he announced that he was going to leave on the hospital ship.
Yeah.
So they seem to have this open thing about, like, everybody who just happens to show up here can stay, and like...
Yeah, they've never actually oxtered anyone off the ship.
No.
Like, they just kill them if they're an adversary.
Right, and if they gave them enough reason to do so, but they've not... Yeah, they don't seem to police anybody who wants to stay on Moya.
They don't do the thing where they get up and flap their arms and go, well... Which is the hint to
have a little house vote on, like, are they staying or are they leaving, and then go like, I'm sorry, you didn't make the cut. You're being voted off the island.
I think this is the only reason why there are still people on Moya. Like, if they'd figured out at any point that they could do this, then Moya would just be empty.
Fair point.
Eventually, like they'd vote each other off, and then Pilot would quietly close the airlock behind the last person. Just move off and find some new people. But yeah, like Stark comes aboard and stays and then vanishes. It's not entirely clear what happens there, but keeps coming back. And same with...
well, Stark is obviously, welcome, and expect to see him.
I mean, by now we never saw him leave the first time. Like, he joined at the end of season 1,
yes.
And then you just wasn't there for season 2.
And then he shows up again and goes like, oh, hey, I'm back, and I've got some information.
Yeah.
But yes, wedding, one wedding and a funeral.
Yeah.
So yes.
Oh, there's a scene at the dressmakers when they have finally found one.
Yes.
So Claudia Black made 2 very significant creative contributions to this episode. Mm-hmm. One of them was that she went through the costume department and found this dress, which was Katrala's dress.
Oh, Katrala is the
princess.
The princess in yes. Look at the princess.
Princess Katrala. Will you consent to marry me?
And she thought there was this kind of cool idea that John would marry this dress twice.
Ah, yes.
All right.
And it looks stunning on her.
Oh, yeah. As he points out, you wear this.
And somebody's going to marry you.
Yeah.
But then she tries to pay for it. She takes it to the shopkeeper. She's got a lovely, like, it looked like a pantsuit kind of thing going on.
Yeah, it's very business.
And she hands over the credit card and says...
Sergeant.
Yeah.
And John sort of stage whispers, no, it's a ch.
Ch.
Oh.
Sergeant.
Yes.
No, charge it. And she's very rightly, like upset, and like that was humiliated. That was embarrassing.
Yes.
No, English is difficult, says John. Like, half the time people don't understand what I'm saying. And she's like, yes, but
you're doing great.
No, I'm not. Nobody here understands what I'm saying. This whole Frelling planet needs translator microbes.
I mean, that happens when you move into a new area. I mean, I guess it signifies the discomfort that fantasy Aaron is having. Which comes back later, of course. I love the scene where she's throwing the bouquet and Jewel makes it like a stage dive for it and triumphantly holds up the bouquet in the end. That is so in character for Jewel.
At the time, did you recognize that it was Jewel? Because you asked whether it was Tammy... Well, Macintosh. At first you said Wynette again.
Right, yes. Not immediately, no. Because in her case, it's kind of unclear that it is. It's like you put her in a regular Earth dress.
And tie her hair back.
Exactly.
And you can't really tell, like, does she have the multiple widow's peaks?
Right, you can't really tell from the shot. So, no, I didn't clue in that it was Jewel rather than just the same actress.
So I had a new thought about this episode, particularly, like, John has this fantasy that Aaron won't fit in. And she'll be unhappy, which is sort of a... I mean, there are many comedy films and books about the foreign bride, but it's also obviously like it's an immigrant narrative, and it's it is traumatic and humiliating to be somewhere where you don't have the kind of adult ambient knowledge that you have in the place where you're familiar, use of the language, knowledge of the culture, which he himself has experienced,
of course,
at least twice. Once being an American in Australia, presumably.
Yeah.
Which, both in the Anglosphere, but still a bit of a culture divide. And certainly, like, coming aboard Moya.
And then probably again a third time when he was on, what is it again, John Crichton, That's not the name of the episode, where he gets stuck on the planet with the Purple Pants people for 6 months.
Actually, that's a really good point. Jeremiah Crichton.
Jeremiah Crichton, that's the one, yeah.
He is the Masata.
Rigel, what?
He's not the Masata!
Well, Hakuna Matata, Masada.
Because he really did spend like 3 or 6 monans on that.
Yeah, half a cycle, I believe they were looking for him.
Good callback. Which was still in the middle of that sort of adjustment period. So he's been through it 3 times. There is something really interesting, and I haven't fully figured out how I feel about it, that he imagines that Aaron wouldn't be able to get over it like he did.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Because he's well, okay, maybe that suggests that he hasn't gotten over it.
Possible.
Right,
but
he still wants to return
Aaron
to
seems
Earth.
to be the kind of deal-with-it person, you know?
Yeah.
You'd figure that she gets... I mean, she would have that frustration, but
and
she's...
it would suck.
And it would suck, but she would clearly be willing to work at getting over this. Yeah, getting to learn... I mean, it's the first time she's learned a new language.
I can't understand what he's saying.
He's speaking in his species' ancient language. One sentence can carry over 100 different facts, concepts, emotions, far too complex for our translated microbes to interpret.
We quickly learn, however, that yes, it was in fact Jewel, because in the next shot, John is taking off the garter belt, which ends up on Rigel's eyebrows, who is already trying to cut into the wedding cake, which is...
Oh gosh, wait, hold on, you're cutting ahead.
No, that's just...
But we left them in the wedding shop, and after that, there's a scene with Dargo and Aaron, and she's helping him load up the growler. And she says, you could resupply halfway through. He says, nope, I want to go straight to Macton, who's very far away, and kill him. Because, he says it's not about killing Macton, it's about getting revenge.
Yes.
Apparently
Who's Macton's again?
Oh, Macton was his wife's killer / brother.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah, Macton Tau. He received intelligence about Macton's location from Braca as part of the deal on the command carrier.
Yes.
And apparently he's posted quite far away, so he's going off. Because the Luxons have apparently a saying that's similar to the Klingon proverb of revenge is a dish best served, well, not cold,
immediately.
Which is how I like my dishes served as well.
Yes, hot and cooked and preferably re-microwaved halfway through to keep the temperature up.
I was 40 years old when I learned that restaurants would do that. That you could just...
Can you reheat this for me? Yeah.
Yeah, can you warm that up? And they have an oven that's kept warm and they pop it in there.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's fantastic, yeah.
Not so fantastic for Moya.
So during the opening credits, we get this line of John going on about going back to Earth and opening a wormhole there and going back, but then
Earth is unprepared
for what's coming on. And yes, Earth would not be prepared, but he would have the wormhole technology and the knowledge how to use it as a weapon. I'm pretty sure he could convince people on Earth that this is going to be taking a little bit of work. Also, he has the wormhole technology. So if he makes his way back to Earth and leaves the uncharted territories, then nobody in the uncharted territories has that wormhole technology. And Earth is still safe. So that opening line's getting a bit old.
Okay, so it is hugely frustrating that for this whole season we've been listening to those opening credits with all that suggestion. Oh, they're going to Earth. He's dealing with this idea of going back to Earth, and it has not come up until this episode. And now his big worry about returning to Earth is that his girlfriend won't be happy there.
Yes.
I remember being just enormously disappointed by the end of the season. So it was just a tease this whole time.
Oh,
like, there was
yeah.
actually, we're not going to Earth, we're not doing that. Because I'd been speculating from the first moment that I seen it.
Okay, that never registered. I mean, I never assumed that they would be going to Earth.
Lucky you.
I mean, yes, no. To me, I think that going to Earth would probably jump the shark on this series.
Well, they have been to Earth already.
Well, not for
okay,
real.
fantasy Earth.
Fantasy Earth,
right?
right.
Okay.
No, for real. If they turn this into, now we're dealing with Earth and we have to, like, deal with governments and politics about space travel, and, like, I think that would jump the shark on this series.
Do you not remember how it felt in, what was the episode? A Human Reaction?
Yeah.
Didn't it feel cool? Like, before you knew that it was
totally.
a total fake
but
out.
I'm talking about, like, if they did it for real and the series became about being on Earth and dealing with aliens, and then it would turn into an Alien Nation type series, and that's not what Farscape to me feels about. They might, if it happens in the next season, and there might be some listeners who are now like pulling their hair out,
into their headphones,
screaming, but they might be able to pull it off. But to me, it feels like if they did that, they would be leaving.
Well, they were leaving a lot of the formula. Because it's a road show, right? I had this as well with like the series Supernatural. It's a road show. It starts off with them with two brothers in a car or in a different motel, like going to a different place. And then there was like a roadhouse that they visited regularly with other supernatural hunters. And then they had like a base. And as soon as they had a base, it just didn't feel like the same thing, like
show
waking
anymore.
up in the same place.
Yeah,
whichever place that might be. Like it's got to be Moya out somewhere. Sort of the same with Doctor Who and the TARDIS. Like
yes,
a lot of the times the TARDIS just arrives somewhere and they get out of the TARDIS and that's it for the TARDIS for that whole episode. But we're going all over the place.
I know.
Moya has travelled to the sacred burial ground, the sacred Leviathan burial ground. So apparently, like, Leviathans have... This is one of their cultural expressions.
Yeah, it's kind of like an elephant burial ground, or not really burial, because there's not really burying
Graveyard,
involved. Graveyard would probably even be better for this as well.
Well, I'm going to say burial ground because she's transporting her son's remains.
Right.
Like, you bury someone else.
Right.
But a grave is just wherever you happen to be. Like, elephants go to the graveyard to die.
Yeah.
Which probably Leviathans also do. Yeah,
it seems like a reasonable thing. But yes. So Moya feels that Talon should be... I'm not going to say interned, but again, it's like they're not putting him in anywhere, so...
Yeah, I mean, to us it seems weird. It seems like just dropping some...
I mean, Rigel literally says...
What the yachts is so sacred about
this particular bit of space.
Well, that's culture for you.
I know.
Right? We don't know what the space looks like through Leviathan senses.
It's not the nebula that the creators, the makers, whatever, are in. It's like it's a different place, right?
Yeah, it's... I mean... Well, who knows about places in Farscape, but it's not supposed to be anywhere we recognize.
And they get bumped by another Leviathan who is like, nope, don't want that. Like a Leviathan who has had 3 of her children taken by the peacekeepers and enslaved, and she is not having it that Talon will be buried here because Talon is part peacekeeper.
This ship is quite irrational, and as we've seen, prepared to enforce her edict.
She attacks Moya, does a lot of damage right away.
Absolutely incredible amount of damage that, like, no peacekeeper weapon would have been able to do that.
And this is just from 2 Leviathans bumping into each other.
It's because of her knowledge of Leviathan anatomy. Like I
mean, peacekeepers should have that.
Well, so what I'm getting out of this, because we've seen at least one other Leviathan, so in Eat Me, and this one is clearly significantly larger than Moya.
Yeah, by half, I'd say. Yeah.
And so... Leviathan physiology might be unique because there's also been the suggestion, I don't know if it's really in the show, but that they sort of adapt to the needs of their crew. I think maybe like even there was a chat somewhere where it was suggested that like the ceilings are lower in season 2 because they moved to a different collection place, and that's like Moya realizing like, oh, these are some short, like my inhabitants are shorter and they don't need that extra clearance.
It's a nice theory, but why hasn't that happened over the previous period of time? Because, like, how long has been... they've been, like, on that ship for, like, 7 or 8 cycles at that point.
It might have been it was a prison ship, so there might have been a prison population with a lot of, I don't know, Scarans, some, huge...
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah.
No, I'm just speculating here. But, yeah, so, like... The exact internal anatomy of a Leviathan might not be easy to know from the outside.
No, fair point.
Except by another Leviathan. Yeah. So, yeah, it's absolutely critical. This whole episode is very dark.
Yes.
Like, the lighting is very low.
Well, yeah, Moya got damaged, and they're showing that by having everything in the dark, which has Jewel lighting Erin as she's doing some repairs.
The very first scene between Jewel and Erin ever.
Oh, yes, now that you mention
They've
it.
never had a conversation before, aside from some screaming and beating. And so, like, when Jewel goes...
In the short time I've known you, you've changed so much.
You're meeting her now!
Well, as far as we can see.
I know, but...
Speaking of screaming, I mean, I love how Erin...
Can you melt that?
With what? There's no power yet.
Does a little bit of titty-twisty welding on...
yeah. And she just squeezes her in the knee.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's great.
I thought that was hilarious.
John is still completely checked out of this the drama. Yes, he's fantasizing about the tossing of the bouquet, the drawing of the garter, which lands on Rigel's earbrow. And, like, what a player. Dargo in a tuxedo. He looks amazing in a tuxedo.
He does look fantastic, yes. But, okay, so when it comes to John's fantasy, like, okay, there's a weird thing going on where he's, like, having this discussion with Chiana, and it goes, back and forth between now Chiana, who looks absolutely fantastic in latex hot pants. I mean, it's a short skirt and long stockings, and oh damn, she looks good like that.
Yeah, she does.
And a crop top with long sleeves, but that's a weird contrast between how forward and slutty and she is in John's fantasy, and how different she is in the actual real life thing.
That's a really good point, because this is the most, like, sensitive, honest, and vulnerable Chiana that there is. She's not escaping like she did in Taking the Stone.
No. And yet in John's fantasy, she is like her regular self dialed up to 11 in probably the worst way possible.
Hey, I spent some time with the boys. Think I found who the best man is.
Well, why are you doing this? Why can't you just act like you always have? Fit in. Why do you have to sleep with all of my friends?
This is such a repressed culture.
Back.
Now, that might be a response to the sort of immigrant experience. That
Right,
you go for this persona.
but it's all in John's fantasy. So
Yes,
why
exactly.
is he thinking that she would act like that?
I guess that's interesting. He must not be paying attention to, like, who she is right now.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that's not entirely true, because he's the one, later in the episode, gosh, we're going to be jumping all over the place, that says to Jewel, you have to go with Chiana. Why do I have to go with Chiana?
Chiana can handle
Just be there. Gianna midwife Talon's birth. She shouldn't have to bury him alone.
Very good point.
So he was thinking about Chiana as this emotionally realized woman, thinking about her feelings and her needs, but that wasn't being reflected in his fantasies.
Not at all. No, she's just a worse version of what she was like when they first met, I would say.
Now, there is a very lot in this episode, and a lot of it is pretty easy to miss, which it doesn't seem like it, because not a lot happens, but, like, knowing... like being very familiar with the show and knowing where it's going, even, it gave me a lot to sort of parse here. There's a lot about truth and lies and running from it.
Yes.
Which is something that the old woman says, like...
Go to the truth. It calls in your own tongue.
And John says he ran from it in one of his earlier fantasies. So maybe that has something to do with what we're seeing, that he's constructing these... He's trying to work out the decision whether to go to Earth and bring his friends there, whether those are compatible with each other. And he's doing that by examining these scenarios. But he's not being completely honest with himself. So maybe one of the aspects of dishonesty is assuming that his friends are worse versions of the people that he's come to know.
Okay, yeah, I'll buy that. That seems to make sense. That seems to make sense. Like, when you think about other people, you always imagine what the worst reaction is that they can have to any scenario that you envision. And it turns out that nine times out of 10, it's much better than what you feared or managed to imagine for yourself. Think of yourself. So that's, the doom thinking.
I mean, even it happens the other way around. Gosh, we are going all over the place. When he's imagining a conversation with Dargo while he's having a conversation with Dargo. And he says to Dargo, like, I know you're miserable here and you're really not collecting.
And he's like, Dargo's like, not miserable at all.
No, talking to these kids, saying, hey, boys, how are they biting?
Hey, Mr. Dargo.
Everybody thinks you're a freak.
Everyone thinks I'm a freak. Hey, boys, how are they biting?
Terrible, Mr. Dargo. Can you help again?
See, they don't think I'm a freak.
Right? This is these neighborhood kids that he helps with his gigantic shotgun by killing fish for them every other week. And
I found that an incredibly difficult scene to parse and watch because there's two conversations happening, and I could not keep them apart in my head.
I think that's valid. And I think that was also like
what they were going for. No, totally.
Because they are kind of the same conversation.
Right.
But
it's not entirely. Well, for John they are. For Dargo, they're not.
No, John. Dargo's only getting half.
Exactly. Well, but both Dargos are only getting half. That's what makes it so complicated.
Well, okay, but like one of those Dargos is actually John. So John is getting 1.5.
I know. Yeah.
And Dargo's only getting half.
Yeah. Why are you so disagreeable?
I'm not disagreeable.
You are being disagreeable.
I got things on my mind.
I am sorry that Aaron is leaving you, but don't take it out on me.
All right, let's try and go through this a bit linear because that might help.
Right.
It's like the scene between Jewel and Aaron also introduces something that Jewel asks Aaron.
When we get out of this, are you still going to look for that ex-peacekeeper unit?
Just name-dropping shit.
Yes,
throughout
out of nowhere, yeah. Who now turned into helping people and policing, I guess, actually.
So she's heard about this unit of ex-peacekeepers who keep the peace through assassination. It doesn't sound like ex-peacekeepers to me, but okay.
No, that just sounds like peacekeepers under new management or peacekeepers who've decided they're going to do their own policing racket or...
I mean, do what you're good at. It's kind of what Aaron committed to doing at the end of The Choice. That I'm going to be a soldier.
What I was bred to be.
She doesn't want to be that for the peacekeepers, but maybe she can create a scenario where she can believe that she's doing the right thing, again, like she did with peacekeepers back in the day.
Yeah.
But with open eyes this time. But it's like, I love Jewel in this, because she says, well...
In the short time I've known you, you've changed so much. Don't go backwards. Assassinating people? Seems like going backwards.
And that's all she says. It's incredibly wise. She doesn't sort of hammer the point and then, Aaron undermines it by giving it the kneecap or the titty twist or whatever. Yes. But I think that's the kind of thing that works on Aaron. She takes her time. She does listen. But if you have something to say to her, you say it, and then you leave it to her to...
Right, and you give her that bit of perspective that you want her to consider.
Yeah.
And then she'll do that. And she's the kind of person who listens and... won't brush that off, yeah.
Yeah, because there are other kinds of people who, if you don't get them to really process what you're saying, they will push it off and just try not to think about it.
Yes.
Right, so you can't actually trust those people to really internalize.
People who don't want to think about uncomfortable thoughts.
Ah! Damn! I can't see! God!
John goes off on a little shooting spree.
Oh, yes.
Because his wedding, they're having the first dance at the wedding, and in the meantime, little old Miss Three Eyes is talking to John and whispering things in his ear. And I think this is the first time where I've got written down, old ladies mything with John.
Well, she definitely is. You see her blowing some powder into his face.
Right.
He's got it all over his shirt. And that's when his fantasy turns sour, and you hear her whispering, "Go to the truth. It calls to you."
I actually wrote that down before that happened. I was I clued into that fact that things was going on at the beginning of the scene before it happened, but it seemed very obvious at that point.
Yeah. And because what he's imagining now is this lovely reception where there's, Pilot is there.
Yes. We don't know that happened. We see that later.
You're right.
But he starts shooting things up. There's an invasion. I think this is
because
the
the wedding is interrupted by peacekeepers. But peacekeeper soldiers start killing everyone, and he grabs his gun as if he's battling them off.
No! Get out! Get out!
Shoots up the kitchen, gets taken out by Dargo, who just basically comes walking in what's going on here?
Hey, John, calm down.
He tongue lashes him out of consciousness. Then actually slaps the old lady who goes oh no, what's going on here? And she goes not having any of that smack.
She even says, well, nothing went wrong, except...
Perhaps a slight misjudgment of his weight. It won't occur again, I'm certain.
So am I.
She just, I accidentally overdosed him, but it won't happen again. Yeah.
No, it will not. Smack.
Don't you ever get bored living on the same planet, never going anywhere? No, and what about living in a house? It's too quiet. There's no engine noise.
Well, wait till summer, when the air conditioning kicks on.
Then we get the scene where John is listening in on Aaron and his dad talking, where, oh, I'm miserable here, and he doesn't see it. And I guess that's one of those things where, he's not trusting her to adapt or be honest with him about that. Or, again, that's his own fear.
Yeah, I'm going to be charitable, and I'm going to think that the thing that he's worried about here is that he's not going to notice. That he's going to be so elated at being home and having his girlfriend, fiancé, wife.
Yes.
And that he's not going to pay attention to her world like he should.
Yeah. No,
Maybe.
No, I can subscribe to that theory.
Which I think is a very valid concern for empathetic people taking such a step as marriage.
Yeah.
That involves putting my partner in front of myself, and I want to do that, but am I capable of doing it? Am I going to make a mistake accidentally? I really like Aaron and Jack talking.
John has this fantasy about us having kids and dogs and the pool and barbecues.
Must seem a strange culture.
Like, she's never spoken to the actual Jack. It's always been like an imaginary fake Jack or a hallucination or...
Yeah, old alien Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's always been really open with him. Like, because all of those incarnations of Jack have had a relationship with John.
Yes.
Whether he's aware of it or not.
But this is only happening in John's head anyway, so they're not actually talking.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. So this is imaginary Aaron talking to imaginary Jack.
Yep.
So it's all basically all we're seeing is John's thoughts, fears, hopes projected here.
There's another...
At least, I say that, but also
yes.
all of John's fears, hopes projected here, whilst being messed with by Three-Eye Lady.
Yes.
Because we can't trust any of this to be John's actual thoughts.
Well, we see that the powder is introduced during the wedding blast scene and not before. So it's up to us to sort of interpret, like, are these fantasies, are they visualizations of thoughts that John was having independently?
Yeah.
But the old lady has been aboard since... I mean, it's described very, very quickly that they were escaping from the deteriorating...
Yes, they picked up some spods and like the other people left and she decided to stay to repay the debt, is what she says.
Who are you, old woman?
It doesn't matter who I am. But I know who you are. You made them come back and rescue our life pod after the command carrier imploded. I'm no longer a prisoner because of you. So when the others got off... I stayed on Moya to repay the debt.
By messing with my mind.
Oh, no. No, I would never leave this on boil for so long. Would you like
What did you do to me?
Because she's no longer a prisoner.
No.
And she thanks John for that. Yes, that's the specific focus, because apparently off-screen John convinced the others to pick up the pod of refugees.
But there are a lot of shots when John is out of it and she is seen whispering in his ear, which kind of implies the fact that she is like messing with what he's seeing.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be, but I got that feeling a lot. And that's what I didn't like about this episode, is it makes me doubt everything, which means it robs meaning of everything. Because they could just as easily go in the next episode, go like, yeah, well, that was just her messing with it. So that kind of...
All right. Well, let me give you some confidence, at least there, that the next episode, like, it was already very planned. Like, the season 4 opener, there would have been a lot of... there were deleted scenes from this episode that would have led into the next one. So, think what you want. It's completely valid, but it's not just an ass pull. Like, even if you wind up hating how it resolves, which is also totally fine, at least we know it wasn't, well, we'll just throw some spaghetti at the wall and then next season, after we've had a nap, we'll come back and we'll just like figure out whatever.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
What we're seeing is
I'll keep that in mind, yes.
Because, hey, this discussion was one that was had on the message board as well. Like, did they know that the season was ending? That's why I sort of brought it up.
Yeah, that you know that it's, that they knew that they were going to be renewed, but still, it makes
and it was showrunner David Kemper who wrote this, this episode.
I mean, it might just be dissatisfaction that the resolve hasn't happened yet, but because everything is left up for, might be real, might not be real, that gives
totally
all
valid.
Of those scenes, like those very powerful scenes that we have between John and Aaron, it kind of robs them of meaning until you know whether or not this is going to be resolved one way or the other.
It makes them frustrating.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just robbing. But this is an interesting point, because that's something that has also been part of certainly the season 3 Farscape formula. This addition of frustration. It was only so I was doing prep for the season retrospective later on, and I was reading about Dave Elsey said that he had a conversation with David Kemper about joule, and David Kemper said, well, in science, a joule is a unit of heat.
Energy. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
He said a unit of heat, because that's what... Yeah, whatever. But David Kemper described it as heat because that's what she brings. Not obviously there's the physical hotness. Like Tammy McIntosh is a beautiful young woman with fantastic outfits and she's a gymnast and all that. But her main role is she sort of stirs the pot, gets people riled up. Arguments are created around her, not just with her.
Yes, or even by her. Yeah.
Yeah, well, sometimes. Sometimes. She puts people on edge, she makes people annoyed, and she exposes, through that friction, sort of conflicts between characters that maybe they just haven't settled out of boredom, right? Or out of respect for one another.
Yes.
We keep our distances. But when she's in a room, arguments
happen.
Yeah, people become more extreme versions of themselves.
Well, she kind of has the habit of calling people out on their bullshit. Putting them...
That's also, she can be really annoying, but she's a very truthful mirror.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So this is something that Farscape has done a lot of the times. Once you get so comfortable with the status quo, with these characters, it's David Kemper's style. He looks for some way to disrupt it and disturb it, and... So your frustration with all these scenes, these fantastic, these fantasies that delve into this character that you love and these relationships that you're really interested in, but he won't let you just enjoy it completely innocently.
Well, that's actually one thing that I've got written down here. It's everything is going fine, everything is looking good, things are nice, therefore nobody is allowed to be happy.
Well, this is television.
I know, but it's...
And it's also it...
I mean, that's for the first time, they're clear that it's literally said.
Rigel says
Scorpius
it,
doesn't have a ship.
We're all unhurt, healthy, and no one's trying to kill us. It means finally we can go where we want. We can go home. We're going home. I'm going home.
Rigel is elated, and therefore everybody is miserable.
Yeah. There's a scene that I really love that I'd completely forgotten about. And it's Chiana, and she goes into... Oh, I think it's the same sort of space inside Moya that maybe she...
she's talking to Moya, basically. Yes.
Yeah, and it's this blue-lit scene, and she talks about, I asked Zan once why she got on so well with you, and Zan said, you have to be completely honest.
Mm-hmm.
That's the trick. So she tries to be honest with Moya. She was sent there to try and convince Moya to calm down, which Pilot had failed at. And so she says, well, I think...
that you should bury Talon wherever you Frowling want to bury Talon, and I think that the Frowling Trouk should get out of our Frowling way.
I think you should bury your child wherever you damn well please.
Right, but whatever she damn well pleases is at the burial ground.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
She came there to calm Moya down and, accept, maybe we should bury Talon elsewhere and be peaceful.
But no, she goes
that's not what she feels.
Fight for it, yeah. Fight the other bloody Leviathan.
You deserve it.
Yeah, and kick it. I think that Talon has earned being buried here.
Moya feels Talon has earned the right to be buried in the sacred space.
I mean, to be honest, why didn't they just tell that to the other Leviathans? He died blowing up a command carrier.
Well... They do find out that the other Leviathan has killed at least 3 other Leviathans and wounded many more.
Yeah, so she's a bit unhinged.
She's unhinged, which is why Moya asks the crew, the first time I think that she's made a request.
Yeah.
Very explicitly, to kill her.
Yeah.
And
that's
whoa.
And Pilot actually dances around it a bit and go well, she respects you and we know she knows that you have her back, as which John I think says reiterates, and therefore it's she's comfortable asking you this, and kill her. It's whoa.
And
Kill the rogue Leviathan.
Yes.
All right, old girl.
I mean, nobody responds. This is a really great test For like saying to someone, anything you need. Well, I need $10,000 and I need this guy dead. Ooh, wait, no, hold on.
Well, yeah.
I meant more like a gift card or like a hug or something.
Yes. I mean, they shouldn't have any qualms about, killing another Leviathan. I mean,
Jewel points that out. Like, okay, this is dangerous, but you're going to take a life, Dargo. Are you sure you're okay with that? And Dargo goes,
it's like,
how long have you been here?
Yeah.
Like, it's Tuesday.
I swear I will kill you. Warrior to warrior, I vow one day I will kill you.
Dargo will kill you.
I will track you down and kill you.
I'll kill you.
I'll kill you.
I'll have to kill you.
I'll kill you.
I will kill you myself!
Should kill you.
Look, I told you, we are not killers.
Which, admittedly, is not really a great position to be in.
No, but he is a warrior, He has killed before. He's like...
I mean, when he came to Moya, as Zan pointed out, like...
You are but a boy.
And
yes, but by her standards or by Luxon's standards?
Oh, I think we talked about that at the time. I think she's wise enough to, or she's been around the block enough to know a Luxon who says he's 30, still a long way to go.
But married with kid, so I think it's actually more from her perspective than from a Luxon perspective. He's...
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. She's a worldly woman, but she has her own perspective as well.
Yes.
But
I mean, maybe she just doesn't consider Luxons to be particularly emotionally mature anyway.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, she never met an Oracan. Oh, no, she did. Did they have sex
at that
together?
point,
I don't
not yet.
remember.
But
well, anyway,
yeah.
Dargo didn't want to be a warrior. He wanted to be a farmer.
Yeah.
And he still does. So for him to say, to sort of shrug at killing another being, I mean, it may be more about him being sort of scarred and scabbed over than actually being okay with it.
Yes.
Sort of like Xalax was, come to think of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes me kind of think about that story about like the I think it's Japanese samurais like who wants to be also wants to be a warrior or a gardener, and someone at one point calls him out and is like if you want to be a gardener, why are you always practicing your sword and war? And he says like, well, it's a lot better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Oh dear. Is it though?
Ooh. I mean, if it comes down to the nitty-gritty, yes, I'm sure it is.
But could a warrior reliably produce food?
No, that's why I said gardener, not farmer.
Okay. Okay, no, fair. Yep. Oh, they're smart. So the team is on board, and they have a plan, and we don't really hear a lot about it, but that's okay. Erin has her new Prowler again, which I love that thing. I'm so glad to have it back in Moya's hangar bay. I don't know if it has a new paint job than the last one
I
did.
think so. It seems darker. I thought the other one seemed lighter, but that might have just been the
certainly
settings.
The lighting, yeah.
Yeah, but I thought the original one was whiter, and this one seems to be more of a black-red.
Did it have a red racing stripe?
Ooh.
Oh, I don't know. I like the red racing stripe.
But yes, they're put to good use because they are going out to kill the Leviathan. They're getting the Growler out as well, and Dargo has his fancy little visor.
Two-part plan. There's a fun exchange where John has to go with Dargo, which Erin comments on, and Dargo goes, "I heard that."
Yeah. It's basically John goes, "Fly safe," and no, it's the other way around. She says, "Fly safe." Well, whatever. We'll paste the scene.
Here comes the clip.
Yeah.
Be careful.
I don't have to fly with Dargo.
I heard that.
Oh, wasn't that great? Oh, now I remember it.
Yes. Like, I'm not flying with Dargo. I heard it. Yeah.
But yeah, she says, like, I'm in a Prowler. These weapons aren't going to do more than annoy the Leviathan.
But that works, because Moya manages to dodge the bigger Leviathan, fly actually into the sacred space, drop off Talon's remains, which then the bigger Leviathan goes to try and disturb, which Pilot says,
Moya pleads with you not to let her disperse Talon's remains.
Commencing attack.
And that's when she dives in with the Prowler, shoots the Leviathan to draw her away, paving the way for Dargo to fly the Growler with its super weapon, hold-on maneuver type thing.
Yeah, that was a surprise, wasn't it?
That's when you get the weird disjointed conversation between John and Dargo.
loved this scene. I
need to watch that scene again just to try and make heads or tails of the conversation, because I could not, it was very difficult to follow the conversation. Mostly, I mean, the gist was there, but it's it was very hard to, catch the difference between what was being said to which Dargo.
Oh, absolutely.
In whose mind it is. And I think that would be fun to, pick that apart.
Oh, hell yeah.
To get a view of what actual Dargo actually got out of that conversation, rather opposed to John's view of it.
Well, it seems like every time that we cut back from a bit of a Sydney Harbour into the Growler, that whatever it was that John said in Sydney is sort of what Dargo in the Growler is responding to.
John is saying the same thing in both realities. The question is Dargo is not saying the same thing, because Dargo is hearing different things.
Well, maybe that means that Sydney Dargo is really just a sort of contextualizing of stuff that actual Dargo is actually saying.
Maybe. But that's why you'd have to try and piece it together, because actual Dargo is busy with flying the Growler and attacking the other Leviathan, so none of the stuff that Sydney Dargo says would make sense coming out of the mouth of actual Dargo.
Yeah, I should never have come here. I should never have come to Earth. I should have left you guys on Moya.
Such a simple choice. Why are you agonizing over it?
Because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, you are an idiot. I'm an idiot. We're all idiots, aren't we, boys?
Yeah.
Everyone's an idiot.
Speaking of idiots,
I was with you on that until there was... I mean, Dargo had just explained when he's got his fancy visor on that, I have to super concentrate, so you have to do the flying.
Yeah.
Oh, but I thought the controls only responded to your DNA.
Oh, God, yes.
Yes, that's why I smeared... Oh,
that's why I'm wearing gloves.
And so Dargo's doing something in his visor, I've got to get these calculations just exactly right. But in the meantime, he's still talking to John about Aaron. You see him with his visor on, and he goes, yeah, but you're underestimating Aaron, and... So I think that's the whole thrust of the conversation. This is Dargo testing John's assumptions about Aaron being unhappy and not integrating. Mm-hmm. Because Sydney Dargo
is doing the same thing. Yeah, he's what do you mean? What do you mean I'm talking about? I'm loving it here.
I learned English.
Yeah,
it's tough, but hey, boys. There's just some neighborhood kids that he's friend with, which is probably just the tip of the iceberg of the friends that he's made. Yeah. And he's loving this community and the food that there's there. And
yeah, while this is going on, it's a very just disjointed situation between the actual fight going on outside and the scene with Rigel, Chana, and Jewel, who are doing the mourning for Talon.
Yeah.
The burial scene, yeah. And Chana tries to say something, but Rigel interrupts with and comes out with something beautiful.
Yeah, what Chiana was saying was heartfelt and hurt, and she struggles to express herself. She was actually saying a lot more valid and honest things about who Talon actually was. And then Rigel comes in with the funerary words. Yes. They are unwelcome, but they're also they're good things to say when someone's laying to rest and everyone's struggling with their emotions.
Yes.
He wears a protector. A family.
May I say a few words?
He was a lost soul. Searching for...
Talon was special. A joy to his mother and a credit to his species. Both of them. With fondness, we lay Talon, offspring of Moya, to rest in his sacred ground.
That he was I loved one particular part of it. He made his mother proud, which is obviously great.
Yes.
And he was a credit to his race, both of them.
Ah, yes.
Right? Because both the Leviathans and the Peacekeepers would have been proud of Talon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I'm choking up right now. I'm just thinking, poor little...
Okay.
And by now, Erin has gotten the rogue Leviathan's attention. She set him up. All right, it's up to you guys now.
Yes, and what we see is the Growler kind of phases out, or at least that's what I thought happened.
I had no idea.
Okay, so what I thought was happening is that the Growler phase shifts out of reality, goes flying through the other Leviathan. I thought they were going to just maybe phase in at just the right moment, do a stupid amount of damage, phase back out again, and fly. But no, they just fly all the way through her, and then in a kind of starburst effect, we see the entire Leviathan just dissolve from front to back.
Yeah.
And it's just whoa. That is some weapon that they got there.
I'm with you. Like, I remember being astonished when I saw this the first time. The same way they did. I didn't remember like the details. This weapon is almost incomprehensible. Because you're right. Like, there is the first blast of energy which hits the rogue Leviathan, but then instead of like crashing into the rogue Leviathan, they sort of fly through it as if it's already dissolving or they've dissolved.
Right.
But there's a particular thing that leads me to believe your theory that the growler itself sort of phases out and maybe through some kind of wave resonance.
That's what that's what it looks. Yeah, it looks like it's creating some sort of bow shockwave, which just like dissolves the other ship.
Because when we see the exterior shot of the rogue Leviathan being dissolved from front to tail, the tail is not yet dissolved when we see the growler flying up toward us.
Yeah.
So it's already passed through the tail.
Exactly.
Which is not dematerialized yet. So,
wow.
And everybody's, whoa, that was effective.
That was awesome and terrifying.
Very effective.
Did you get her? She's gone. Completely.
They got her.
Yeah, this is some Lex level of...
yes. Oh, that's a very good comparison, yeah. So, crisis dealt with. I mean, that kind of kills the A-plot.
Yes, and that's where Rigel gets his moment to, hey, do you know what this means? No one's trying to kill us.
Yes.
Scorpius is
That's
gone.
the scene,
We've all got everything we can go to war. I mean, he's even talked about previously, like, all these plans that we have, where they're going to get us killed, yes, but at least they'll get us killed on our home world.
Yes.
Talon rests where he belongs. Scorpius has no ship. We're all unhurt, healthy, and no one's trying to kill us. It means finally we can go where we want. We can go home. We're going home. I'm going home.
So John goes back to talk to the three-eyed lady, who does a weird speech about, like, oh, I'm free now, when she's in fact literally tied up at that point.
Yes, exactly. She's tied up in the kitchen, and she thanks him from, well, before I met you, I was a prisoner, and now I'm... okay. Tenuous grasp on reality, that woman.
Yes, or maybe, again, just gaslighting.
Right.
Which is my theory so far.
Because she talks to him, and then she goes, oh, but I wouldn't have left this on the boil, and maybe you want this. Because earlier she was talking about, like, I'm going to make some chowder, and then it turned into a souffle. And
right, no, the other way around. But yeah, it's like they mentioned chowder, and she's like, souffle, and they go like, oh, I thought you were making chowder. I can make chowder.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like gaslight. I get big gaslighting verbs from her.
Is a chowder?
Oh, it's like kind of like a gumbo.
Right. Is that a stew?
No, it's
soup?
I think it's a fish soup. Chowder. Clam chowder is the traditional one.
Yeah.
So I think it's a thickened soup. I think
soup
it's chowder.
And a stew.
Okay, a chowder specifically, I think, is thickened and has cream in it.
Okay.
Whereas a stew is, just... I don't think a stew is meant to have a lot of actual free liquid.
Huh.
I mean, it's kind of be like, I would call a split pea soup I'd almost call it stew, except it doesn't have enough ingredients.
Yeah, but you do put a chunk of protein in it.
Yeah.
Which you do or don't eat, depending on...
Yeah.
I mean, you don't eat the sort of ham hock, but you eat the sausage. But you've also got, like, vegetable stews. Do you have vegetable chowders?
I'm pretty sure you can. Like I said, I think a chowder means it's both thickened with flour and has cream in it.
All right. Have I sufficiently distracted you from whatever it was that you were saying earlier that maybe you've forgotten by the time that we get...
Well, that ladyship was gaslighting John? No,
no, you remember. Okay, fine.
No, I mean, that was my leading theme through the entire episode. Like, I mean, I came back to that several times. Okay, like, no, she is definitely fighting with him. And that kind of expanded to, is she just fighting just with him or with more people as well?
Right.
Are we just seeing John's version of this?
Because it's John specifically who comes to her like, hey, you showed me something last time and I ran from it, which was his response was to grab his gun and
start
not shoot
shooting.
Yes. Yeah. So show me again.
But back to the wedding.
she already had a fistful of powder this whole time.
Blows into his face, Here we go again. Maybe she got the dose right this time. So, yes, wedding, kissing, first dance. They get cut in, like everybody else starts dancing along.
He's dancing with Chi. Pilot's
there even.
Yes. The sort of puppeteering crew talked about, like, members of every department worked together to get him up 2 flights of stairs.
Oh, damn, yeah.
That hotel was not happy with the whole crew sort of being there. And they even mentioned, like, well, Pilot, he doesn't get out much.
I don't get out much.
Fair enough, yeah.
For the very first time, they put squibs on him, which was the sort of, like, explosive,
right,
like when you get hit by a bullet in a movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of those in the next scene.
Yeah, and it's brutal.
Oh, yeah.
Because Jack stands up to hold a speech,
He gets shot in the head.
A little yellow bolt of light go through the head, and a head wound that we see. Not just a spark, an actual bleeding head wound. And it goes for all of them. Like everyone who gets shot, it leaves a bleeding wound in the
appropriate color, like blue for Chan.
Good point.
Yeah, they did that. I love how Gigi Edgley looks in, like, running over the table and in that blue dress, which I noticed that she must be wearing stockings because her legs are not, like, white. Her legs are, like, kind of like almost look like they've got regular human color. I can't believe that they forgot to, like, put makeup on her for a shot like that.
Absolutely,
so it has
not.
to be a conscious choice that she's wearing stockings.
Well, she's wearing white gloves as well.
Elbow-length
gloves.
You're right.
So probably matching stockings.
Yeah,
but showing off midriff.
That too, yeah.
I mean, not in this scene, in the other one where she's
that's
talking about how
that's a good look on her. I am not a straight man, but dang,
nobody's that gay, as the joke goes. But yes, when she talks about, I went shopping, but you don't have any money.
Lifting, shoplifting.
God, fantastic. And making out with his dad.
Yeah, but again, that must have been John's insecurities, and
he was already going like, this isn't right. Like,
no, something's wrong.
But here at the wedding, that's what he's being confronted with. Like, the peacekeepers come here. Chiana's in blue now, and it's Jewel who's in pink.
Yes.
Versus the last wedding that John was at, where Chiana wore pink.
Yes.
Looks good on her.
You look great in pink. Brings out your eyes.
Eventually, Aaron gets shot in the side. Of course, she gets shot in the side.
And John is completely devastated.
Right.
Did you notice Aaron's final words to John?
Remind me?
Don't worry about me.
I've never felt better.
Yes. Ooh.
Now, what does that remind you of?
Well, mostly it's a contradiction of everything that he's been fearing.
Those were the dying words of the other John.
Don't worry about me. I've never felt better.
Don't worry about me.
Oh,
I've never
right.
felt
Yes,
better.
they actually put that in the previously on Farscape.
Exactly.
Now that you mention it, yes.
Are you okay, Gonzo?
Great. Never felt better.
Which has led to a lot of speculation about, like, how would Moya John, how would Black Shirt John know to put those words, those dying words, into even Fantasy Aaron's mouth?
Oh, yes, that's a good point. Huh. Well, again, it's like it's not his Mary's own. She is messing with him. We don't know how much of this is John's fears and how much is this John's fears being manipulated by someone else.
Yeah, she is whispering into his ears.
Right.
His tiny.
And the same goes for Scorpius, because Scorpius shows up and that.
Oh. Well then, John. Tell me, what did you expect?
I mean, even if you even look at his expression, that's also not the way Scorpius, I think, would be looking if he was actually there, being vindictive, which we have already established last episode. He is not vindictive towards John. I mean, he might be now a little bit after blowing up the command carrier, but he's like, at the end he was like, why would I care about Earth? Like, Earth is only a means to get you to do what I want. And now that that's not happening, then I'm not going to destroy Earth. I'm not going to go there just to spite you.
Imagine if Scorpius did want to destroy Earth.
Right.
Would he tell John about it? Or would he would, like, if in his heart was just the sort of rage and revenge that he pretended at the end of the first part of the two-parter, right? That I'll spend 60 years going to your planet. If that's actually what he wanted to do, would he want John to know it? Or would he want John to be shocked and surprised by it? Like, what would devastate John more?
I think the latter.
Right?
Yeah.
And John knows Scorpius very well. He has a neural clone in his head at this point. So he must also be worrying. Like, Scorpius said he wouldn't destroy Earth. But if he wanted to devastate me by destroying Earth, that's what he would say.
Yes. But
to make it work.
Yeah, but it's that look on Scorpius' face, which it's almost like, I've had a hard time like putting words in, but it's almost whimsical, where he's just kind of like, well. It doesn't seem like someone. Yeah, it doesn't seem like someone who just got his goal of destroying John's wedding, and it's more like, what am I doing here?
Interesting. Okay, there are a lot more conversations between John and the old woman, who has been sort of present this whole time. Like, he's been dancing with her when he thought he was dancing with Aaron.
And at least not shooting things up this time round.
Fortunately,
he managed to keep his finger off the trigger. And yes, everybody in this episode at one point at least goes, who is this woman?
Who is that woman? And who the frill is this?
Who is that woman?
I thought she was with you.
Who are you, old woman?
Like, and nobody seems to be. Yeah, which
I thought
again,
she was with you. Okay, you deal with
which again leads me to the theory that John isn't the only person being messed with.
Very good.
Because everybody just like accepts that she's here. Nobody questions it. Like, I mean, it gets mentioned in passing, but that apparently is enough to deal with it. It's like, okay, well, if you don't know, then it's clearly not important who she is.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah.
Well, this ends the old woman's involvement, except for one tiny scene at the end, which was kept very secret for the rest of the episode. And the rest of the episode is a hangar scene where... Okay, the last question. Oh, yeah. The last question that the old woman posed when John explains, what dog with two bones, what does that mean?
Right,
Okay.
and he explains the story of the dog loses a bone because he wants the bone that his reflection has.
And then he has nothing.
Yeah.
And he's just staring at himself. And she very wisely says, well, is this dog smart enough to learn? And John says it doesn't matter, he's already lost everything. She says, no, it does matter. Right? And... if he could only have one bone, which one would he want?
Yes.
And John walks into the hangar where Aaron is getting ready to leave, and he's got his stuff already packed. Okay, I'm going with you. That's what he wants.
Yes. He basically would realize that he wants Aaron more than he wants going back to Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now
then
they have
Aaron
to have this.
Yeah. Then we get this long conversation where Aaron goes like, nope, because I don't want to lose you again, which is what it boils down to.
What do you want?
You.
I'm afraid it's not that easy for me. You see, you died. I watched that happen, and yet you're still alive.
And even that is only part of it. Like, neither of them can... They're both trying so hard to be honest about their feelings, to be respectful toward the other person, and also toward themselves, and they're failing. This is an incredible scene.
Oh, yes.
And a lot of arguments were had about like how this would come together. This was a long scene to film.
I can imagine it took some time, and there was a lot of like, okay, what if we try this, and what if we try that, and then there's probably a lot of cutting room floor discussions as well. How are we going to cut it, and what are we actually going to go with?
It's just extraordinary. There's all these movements. Like Ben Browder had arguments with David Kemper about like yelling arguments about where to go. But, I mean, by this point, like everyone on Farscape was so invested in their characters.
Yes. And of course, they have opinions on what they think their characters should, would, and could do.
Yeah, and where they want them to go, because they're...
Yeah.
And
I mean, he managed to coax a kiss out of her.
Oh, that's beautiful. Like, she sort of turns away and refuses a few times, and he doesn't close the distance until she lets him.
Yeah.
Like,
she turns away, and he goes like, okay,
and he won't leave.
Around the other way, try again, and like, not going yet.
But... like, either you walk away or you kiss me.
Which is, again, what the same argument he loses later. It's like, tell me to go away. Go away, say goodbye, John, and...
Yes.
Then say goodbye.
We don't take goodbyes.
We do this time. You see, you leave, and then you come back, and I can't handle the in-between. Aaron, say goodbye.
Fine. Goodbye, Crichton.
John! My name is John. Goodbye, John, to my face.
Yeah, oh, wow. That just occurred to me because he said, goodbye, Crichton. And he says, no, my name is John.
Yeah.
Because the words that she said to him the first time that he saw her again were, hello, John.
Hello, John.
Hello, John.
Hello, John.
Hello, John.
Yes.
Now say goodbye, John. Do it.
Ah.
Tell me you
she
don't.
Can't.
Oh, and they're all... And finally, like, she turns it on him. Like, if you love me, then don't make me say goodbye and don't make me stay.
Right, because I don't want you to die in my arms again. And like he goes like, well, what if I don't want you to die in my arms? And I'm going out. I'm leaving. That's not going to happen.
He does what she wants, and he walks away, and she's furious, and she like kicks everything over because, okay, they both realize apparently you didn't want me to walk away, so
yep.
Guarantee that, guarantee that you won't go away again. It's absolutely incredible. And then they.
I can't do this again.
Shit, I can't let the one thing I love fly away in a crappy little ship.
You once said it was as if the fates meant for us to be together.
And I believe that.
Well, then if it's true, we will be together again.
Running away is not fate, Aaron. Running away is running away. Fine, you want fate? Here, I've got fate. Fate, here.
What?
They have this coin.
Yeah, I mean, he suggested it before. It's like, we'll put things to the test of fate. Like, does fate want us to be together or not? And we'll flip for it.
This is Claudia Black's suggestion, on one of the final days of shooting. Like, she brought up this idea, what if they flip the coin? And she said very specifically, this is not about trivializing the choice for either of them.
Yeah.
But for either of them to make that choice, whichever direction it goes in, would hurt too much. They just don't have the emotional capability to tolerate such a painful choice. Condemning someone else to living on a planet they don't want to, or whatever, taking those risks.
Yeah.
They both kind of want out. They both want a choice to be made, but not by me. And I can't make the other person because I love them do it.
So let's just we don't know how it's going to work out one way or the other.
Yeah.
We can't tell that. So, we'll flip for it.
And this is before the commercial break. And
clearly, that felt like
hovers slow
felt
motion.
like such a commercial break cut there. And yes, we have like John floating around in his prowler, just musing. In the not in the prowler, in the module. Yes, that's the word I was looking for.
Same place where he started,
where his mind is going back and forth, and like everybody is having a whale of a time at the wedding party.
Is that still? Oh yes,
that's still going. That's still going on in his mind at this point.
And he's also, and for a second, it looks like Erin's out there in her prowler and saying her goodbyes. But those are his memories of her goodbyes that she already said.
And meanwhile, on Moya, everybody else is there sitting there. Are you done yet? Are you out of fuel yet? Are you coming back?
Yeah.
Can we go? Come on. Like
looking at their watch. Jules still there, but we don't see anyone else. We don't see Dargo, Rigel, Chiana.
Oh, yes. I hadn't noticed that.
It's just Jewel in there with Pilot.
Yes. I hadn't noticed that. Huh.
And as he says, okay, well, fine, I'm coming in. And he's just imagined the final words of Erin Sun before she left.
Fly safe. Goodbye, John Crichton.
He sees Harvey.
Yes. Harvey shows up.
The human subconscious is interesting, isn't it? And I found something.
Yes.
The human subconscious is a fascinating place. Malleable, permeable, fallible.
Harvey, you gotta get your nose out of the dictionary.
Guess what I found there, John?
Now that your well-being is inextricably linked with mine, and Harvey gives him a gift that he found in John's subconscious, which is to unlock the maybe memory that we've been teased with a few times of some words that the old woman was whispering into his ear, and he gets to hear what those words were, which is
Aaron is with child.
Yes.
And now suddenly sparks fly, and he goes, "Wait, hold on, wait, no,
crap! We need to go get her.
We've got to find her immediately."
Why couldn't you trust me? Old woman! Pilot, patch me through to Aaron.
She is beyond our range, Commander.
Got a fix on her position. We're going after her.
Hold on a micro.
Damn it, just do it.
Pilot goes, "That's not such a great idea." And the old woman takes Jewel hostage.
Right, yes. Grabs her, threatens to bite her ear off, which, okay, it's a threat, but it's not a very big threat.
Yeah. telling Pilot to obey the commander's command.
Pilot, please, for the love of God, please.
And just as that happens, and John is trying to fly back to Moya, a wormhole pops open and sucks Moya through.
Commander, stay clear. We're being torn. Come on. Can you?
All right. And at this point, I was listening like, okay, like I've been fucked with too much. There's like this kind of made me. I mean, talking about it like with you for the past hour has like redeemed it a little bit more towards me than the way I felt about it just after I watched it. But still, I have this like feeling of like, okay, there's too much fucking with going on, and we don't know how much of this is actually real, and especially Moya getting sucked through a wormhole. It's like the like what kind of ass? Yeah, it's not an ass pull, but it's like what is it doing? Is this just still someone messing with John? We don't know that actually anything that happens to John in this episode is actually real.
I want to apologize for my laughter, and to make it clear, I am elated that this is what Farscape does, because it sure did it to me back in the day. I was there. I was right there with you. I'm not laughing at you.
No, of course not. No,
I'm sharing this with you.
Yeah.
And I love that you have such strong feelings about it. Like, that is so great. Imagine a show where you just turn it off and like, oh, yeah, that was a fun episode, and then you discussed it for 10 minutes, and that's it. And instead, we get this.
Yes, we get to talk an hour and a half about...
Yeah. I had forgotten that there was so much to love in this episode, and that there was so much to be absolutely furious about.
Yes. And we are left with John sitting in empty space, looking around, going like, well, bugger. Because he's almost out of fuel, as we just learned.
He's in his little module. There's nothing else around, and he's going, you have got to be kidding me.
Yeah, and there's a to be continued. At least they didn't leave that up in arms. Although there's probably been quite a few series or shows which have ended with a to be continued for there never to be a continuation.
So frustrating.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we are spared that. We know that there's a 4th season, and well, we're going to have to wait a while before we get there. Right. Of course, as befits the end of season. We're going to have a season retrospective, season recap, we call them, and greatest hiatus, which, I'm still working on one. We'll have to figure something out.
Yes.
But until we get there...
She gives me a Woody.
She gives you the willies.
Oh, well, I guess the willies should be very obvious for me.
The whole bloody thing. And crossing your arms and going, this whole stinking episode.
Well, it's the frustration at being unable to tell what's real and what's not, which to me feels like a detriment, because
Remember that this is January 2002. And remember the kind of TV we were watching at the time, like Buffy was still on the air. No, Battlestar Galactica wasn't on the air yet.
2004?
2003 came the miniseries, and 2004 the series. So, I mean, even Firefly would be later that year. So, like we've talked about it before, Farscape was really the pinnacle of a prior era of science fiction before the sort of prestige era of television emerged.
But also, also a segue into that already a little bit.
Yeah. Really presaging it.
Definitely setting the stage for it.
So are you really going to... Is you really going to be the whole damn episode?
No.
Oh,
Definitely not the whole damn episode. Just the way that it's like... Yeah, I'm left with this unsatisfied feeling of like, okay, I can't trust anything that happened here actually happened. And that's like... Yeah, that's not a... I don't like that.
I'm trying to find like a metaphor that isn't sort of overtly sexual. So I imagine like standing at a bus stop in your full ski gear, holding your skis and the goggles and everything and sweating and not knowing what the bus is taking you to. Like I've been... Someone told me to bring my skis and my ski gear, and it's so hot. Like,
but we're driving
what am
on
I
the
doing
beach,
here?
No, that's an interesting point. Oh, and Woody.
Oh, yeah, that was the metaphor I was trying to avoid.
Oh, Woodies. Right, yes. That Woody's going to be actually tricky. There was so many... I mean, like, if for playing it for laughs, I would just, like, have to go for the scene between Joel and
Aaron,
yes. Where it's like, can you melt that for me? And it's like, I thought that was so well played. It's like, it seems to be a thing that like they don't often use enough her ability to scream and melt metal. You know, you thought that would come in like handy at more opportunities than.
Well, they
before.
probably thought that about Aaron's heat delirium at first as well, but then they keep going to desert planets and
it's not
really exist anymore.
Such a big problem.
Because actually, it's kind of annoying to write around.
I'm going to have to say that it's going to be the scene where they unlock the Growler's potential, and we get this amazing, weird attack scene on the ship, and all the questions that raises, and how okay, what is this? How does this work? Is this something they can do regularly? It's like, what is it? Like, is this a Luxon thing? I mean, it must be. It's an old Luxon ship, so
right.
Yeah. I thought that was an amazing short scene.
Yeah. Opening up like a lot of mysteries about what this ship is and what it can do, because like I think Dargo had the confidence that it could disable at least Leviathan in optimum condition.
But they're shocked about it too. They're like, oh dear, what it just happened?
Just gone.
Yeah, what the frell? Oh.
Okay, my Willy. Ooh, it's tricky. Maybe because it is kind of my Willy is that I can't be frustrated at this episode the way that you are, because I would love to feel that again. That cardamom in my vanilla cake, right?
Cardamom goes with lemon.
Yeah, but not with vanilla.
I know what's
right. That I can't be riled up.
No, because you know what's coming and you know where it's going. Yes,
right.
It's like you only get that on. You can only get that on the first pass. You only get that.
And whatever this is that you're feeling, enjoy it. My Woody's actually going to be girl talk. There are a lot of scenes between women here, which is Farscape is rightly known for like reversing or upsetting gender norms as they existed in the late 90s and early 2000s, and gender relationships and all of that. You know, the kind of broy relationship between Aaron and Dargo is one of to me the best examples, but not known for developing relationships between women.
Right.
They were very few and far between, and we get more scenes between women in this episode than I think in the last season put together. There's Chiana and Moya.
Yeah,
there's Chiana and
Jewel and Aaron.
There's
no Aaron and Sean, I think.
No, I don't think there isn't.
No.
There's a bit between Chiana and the old woman whom she rejects, but like that's the kind of...
Yeah, Chiana's not buying whatever that old woman is selling.
No, she's not dealing with that at all. In fact, the only thing missing is, you know what? That's really missing. Aaron and Moya.
Yes. There was no goodbye between that. Yeah, that's interesting. Good point. Although she was more about Talon than Moya anyway, but still.
Well, she has communed with Moya before.
Right,
Moya asked her to name her son.
Yes, good point.
She's essentially godmother to her son. And
very good point.
But even Aaron didn't participate in Talon's burial.
Well, she was outside in the Prowler shooting at the other ship.
I know, but choosing, that was the role she chose. So I guess, no, that is going to be women, girl talk is something that I really, really enjoy.
Yes.
And that's the story so Farscape.
Yes, please join us next week with more Tales of the Uncharted Territory, and after that, the Season 3 recap.
Yep, we're going to figure out some format for that, then another fanfic, another greatest hiatus. We'll figure out what that is.
We're going to lose some listeners.
Don't say that!
No.
Don't say that as we're heading what is universally accepted as the worst season of Farscape, where we expect all of our listeners to stop listening because Season 4 sucks.
Seriously?
No, of course not!
Okay, sorry.
What are you... Why would anyone say that? We are super looking forward to embarking on this journey together. Season 4, whatever it's going to bring. But we have a lot of cool stuff in the meantime, so you can continue to send in your synopses, contribute to our Patreon to help keep the lights on. Thank you for your contribution, Ruth. Thank you to all of our members who've been with us for a long time, who've joined recently, who have sent us messages and who've sent us synopses, fanfic suggestions. Keep them coming. Please make sure they're safe for Kay. Do give him a read and think, well, what if someone had only seen up to the end of Season 3? Would they enjoy this story? We like comedies. We like them up to about 4,000, 5,000 words. Well, maybe we'll do a two-parter. Who knows about that? Did we have any other thing? We had Submit, we had the links, we had the Patreon. Yeah, I think that's soulfarscape.com/links. And, hey, something that we haven't done in a while, but we really should be doing every episode. Our theme music was produced by Lee Collier at Lee Writes Songs, that Leigh Writes Songs, and also the front woman of Give Them L, from whom I think we have an album release to in the offing.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I think maybe you'll be hearing a lot more about that the next time. Thank you again tremendously to Lee for the fantastic theme tune. So let's listen to it now. I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
So Farscape, so good.